up, guys? Jared here, Tone and Titan, and in this video I wanted to share with you 8 of the best exercises to strengthen your hips at home. Now, having strong hips is important not only in maintaining healthy hips, but healthy knees and a healthy lower back as well, so I hope these exercises help you out. I'm going to present them to you as 2 different routines. We'll start with a beginner routine and then progress into a little bit more of an intermediate routine. I've got all of the exercises time-stamped in the description down below, so hopefully you can find whatever is going to work best for your needs currently. Quick caveat before we get started, the best exercises to strengthen your hips are going to be the compound movements with resistance. So we're talking squats, deadlifts, hip thrusts, and lunges. Those are my go-tos for hip strengthening. However, if hip pain or knee pain is limiting your ability to perform those exercises right now, these are the options that I would recommend for you. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, we'll kick things off with an exercise for your hip flexors. This is going to be a straight leg raise. You're going to lay down on your back with one knee bent. Your other leg is extended out straight. What we want to do is fire the quad. So this muscle right here that's going to lock your knee out, fire that one first, and then use those hip flexors to raise that straight leg up towards the ceiling. I want you to go until your leg that you're lifting is about parallel with your other leg. So I don't want you to go all the way up here. We lose all the tension in the muscle up that high. So stop when it's maybe at about a 45-degree angle from your floor, and then slowly return back down to that starting position. 3 sets of 10 repetitions is a great number to shoot for initially. Feel free to progress up to sets of 15 and even 20 with these straight leg raises. Next, you're going to roll over onto your side, and we're getting into an exercise for your hip rotators. This is going to be clamshells. So I want your hips one right on top of the other, so I don't want you to like lean back or lean too far forward. They're just stacked on top of each other. And then what we're going to do, keep our feet together. There's about a 90-degree bend in my knees. Keep your feet together, and then you're just going to use your muscles in your hip to pull your knees apart and then back down to that starting position. So it looks just like that. We're working again kind of the deep hip rotators on this upper hip right here. Piriformis, a lot of times there's a muscle, it's called your piriformis, sits deep to your glutes. It gets weak, it gets tight, it can cause a lot of pain in your lower back, it can even contribute to sciatic nerve symptoms. This is a great way to eliminate that. So we're just going to rotate just like this. Once again, 10 repetitions repeated 3 times, but feel free to progress that up into the 15 to 20 rep range as well. Next, let's work your gluteus medius, so these hip abductors, smaller muscles right here on the side of your hip that are important in stabilizing your torso, but also stabilizing your knee. You're laying on your side. I've got my bottom leg bent, my top leg is out straight, and then what I'm going to do is engage these muscles up here in my hip to lift my heel up towards the ceiling as high as I can go, and then return right back down to that starting position. The error that I see on this is everybody wants to roll backwards and turn it into a hip flexor exercise. So just keep your hips pushed forward, keep your hips stacked, one right on top of the other, and then keep your toe down. So I want to try to lead with my heel. When I gave you the cue for this, I said lead with your heel. I said lift your heel up towards the ceiling. And what you should feel is these muscles right back here, kind of on the back side of your hip bone out here. These muscles on the back side, those are the ones that we're after. Those are the ones that I want you to feel as you're doing this exercise. And so we're going to do a set of 10, repeat that 3 times if you can, and then again progress up to the 15 to 20 rep range as well. So 3 sets of 15 to 20 is ultimately where we'd like to be. Finally, let's throw one at your hip extensors, so the glute muscles in the back. My favorite way to do that is with some bridges. Lay on your back with both knees bent. What we're going to do is engage the glutes, so squeeze your butt together, and then use your glutes to lift your hips up towards the ceiling, and then return right back down to the starting position. So it looks just like this. Go as high as you can, pain-free, and again, the focus is squeezing the glutes through that contraction. Now, if that's easy, what you can do is you can hold up here for a little bit longer. You can even start to throw some marches at it. That kind of compromises the stability, so your muscles have to work a little harder as you march in those bridges. Ultimately, you can even get into what we would do as a single leg bridge, where you extend one leg and then you can just lift with just the single leg each time. And that's really going to light up those hip extensors, those glute muscles. Same numbers apply on this. I would start with about a set of 10 and then work into 15 to 20, but then you can also throw these other progressions with the marches and then with the single leg bridges added as well. So that's kind of the beginner routine. Let's move into something a little more difficult. Okay, for these next exercises, we're going to progress from a non-weight bearing position, the exercises that I just showed you, up into a more functional weight bearing position. Makes them a little more difficult, but also makes them, like I said, a little more functional. In order to do that, we need some resistance bands. There are a couple of options available. You can go with these resistance tubes. They have the carabiner here on the end. A lot of them will come with a strap you can wrap around your ankle, and then you can strap into that with the carabiner. That is a great option. The other thing that you can use would be like a loop, like a resistance loop like this. If you don't have any of these or are interested in the ones that I would recommend for you, I've got both sets, both the tubing and the loops, linked in the description down below, so you can check that out down there. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to demonstrate with the loop, and all I'm going to do is anchor that here around my squat rack. You can do this on a kitchen table, your bed, your dresser. There's a lot of places where you can definitely anchor that. Now what I'm going to do is put a foot down in through that loop, and so I've got some resistance behind it. And now let's show you these 4-way ankle exercises. We're going to start with a hip flexion exercise. So for these hip flexors right here in the front. Now you'll see that I do have my foam roller here. That's just going to help me to stand and to balance. You could also use a chair or something like that, just something so that you don't lose your balance. And so for this, let's see what we're going to do. Work the hip flexors first. So again, these muscles right here in the front. I'm going to stand in really good posture. Let that leg, kind of let that band pull your leg back behind you. Lock that leg out nice and straight. And then we're going to use those hip flexors to pull your straight leg forward into this position and then right back to that starting position. So it looks just like that. Again, we're a little more functional because we're weight bearing. You're going to feel the muscles on your stance leg working as well, which is a great option for this exercise. So I'd start with same numbers apply, see if you can go for 10, see if you can go for 3 sets of 10, and then progress upward from there. Now one thing that you get with the band is that we can work into an adduction motion, so that's pulling my leg across me, and that's going to look like this. So I just turn 90 degrees, I'm looking at you now. Here's the starting position, my leg's up in the air with the band around it, and then I'm just going to use the muscles on the inside part of my leg, my groin muscles, to pull my foot over and past my other foot. So we go from right here, we're going to pull forward, and it looks just like that. And what you'll feel is the muscles right here on the inside of your leg, those groin muscles, working to pull the band in that position, or in that direction. Same thing, 10, progress up to 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15 to 20 if you can. Okay, I'm going to switch legs just so that I can keep looking at the camera. For this exercise, we're now going to get into a hip abduction motion. So now the band is around my outer leg, my inside leg, or my leg that's closer to the anchor point is going to be down on the ground. We're going to start right here, kind of feet together, and then I'm going to use the muscles on the outside of my hip to pull that band and to pull that leg out away. So it looks just like this. The biggest mistake that I see people make on this is that they tend to lean way over here like this. And so if you're leaning way over, we're not doing the exercise correctly. So try to maintain an upright posture, really good posture, while you're just isolating and using those muscles on the side of your hip to pull that band away. 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15, progress up to 3 sets of 20. Finally, the last exercise is going to be for the glutes. This is the 4th direction in this, I call this a 4-way hip series in my clinic. We're now going to face the anchor point, let the foot come in front of you, really good posture, holding on again, balance is important. Now we're going to use those glutes to pull our straight leg back behind us and then return to that upright position. So it looks just like that. Similar to the abduction exercise, the biggest mistake that I see is people will like lean forward and they'll get their whole body into this. We don't want to make it like a deadlift exercise. I want to isolate and focus on those glutes as they pull that band right there in that position. So it looks just like that. Feel that working in the butt muscles, those glutes firing as you're doing this. 3 sets of 10 to 15 to 20 is what I'd like you to shoot for. If you'd like to try to loosen up your hips, offer yourself a little more relief, check out this video right here. Those are some of my favorite hip stretches to help to alleviate your tight hips. For some reason, YouTube thinks that you might like this video right here, so be sure you check that one out as well. If you haven't subscribed to Tone and Tighten yet, hit the circle button right here to do that. And I can't wait to see you back soon here on Tone and Tighten.